The film commences with a girl who is swimming away from something, attempting to flee and conceal herself within her own residence. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Benny by Singh Katokar. Benny seems rather troubled, as though he is in a state of shock. This is confirmed in the morning when Benny converses with his friend about how he is utterly exhausted with everything and desires to take a break. He planned to cycle to Grove Valley to spend some time away from the world. His friend appreciated this idea. A short while later, we observe Benny getting into his car. He departs from that location, and after covering a brief distance, he parks his vehicle outside a general store and retrieves his bicycle. He enters the store to purchase a few items, and there we notice the same girl who seemed terrified at the beginning of the film. She is observing Benny in an unusually peculiar manner. As he exits and removes his bicycle from the car, the girl emerges once more to watch him, and Benny embarks on his journey. Benny pedals his bicycle briskly towards Grove Valley. Along the route, he notices a waterfall. He stopped to drink some water. After resting there for a little while, he resumed his journey, and after traveling quite a distance, he suddenly had to stop because one of his bicycle tires had burst. While he was checking his bicycle, a car suddenly came from behind at full speed and collided with him. It was the same car we saw outside the general store, and the girl from the store was in it as well. The girl panicked when he became unconscious. She first listened to his heartbeat, and once she was sure that he was alive, she put him in her car and took him away from there. As they went on, they noticed a cabin that was far away from any populated area in a deserted location. When they knocked on the door, no one responded. They tried to look through the windows to see inside. Once they confirmed that no one was inside at that time, they broke the window and entered the house. Everything inside was covered in a thick layer of dust, clearly indicating that no one had lived there for a long time and perhaps still hadn't returned. A little while later, it is shown that Benny regained consciousness inside the cabin with his arm and side badly injured and his head hurting so much. He couldn't even stand up. He couldn't even remember what had happened with the last med box or how he had ended up there. When he regained consciousness, the girl who had said she had caused the accident came close to him. After a brief conversation, she realized that Benny had no memory of the accident, so she didn't reveal the truth either. When he asked her how he had ended up there, she lied, saying that she had found him unconscious on the road and had brought him to her uncle's penthouse nearby. He told her that she should have called an ambulance. "Look at how injured my arm is," he said. It got intense. However, she calms down and says that we are currently inside Grove Valley and there are no services available for miles around in Grove Valley. Benny was in a lot of pain, so he asked the girl to help him. Although the girl wasn't a doctor, she listened to Benny's request, pulled his arm, and after that, she bandaged him and went into the kitchen. She was quite anxious. Strange echoes were ringing in her mind, and suddenly the whole scene flashed back to where we saw the girl with her mum. From her mum's words,
Near the window, she spots a terrifying figure outside, which scares her more. This scenes avoid revisiting the topic, and she starts cooking in the fort. Bonnie arrives and first asks the girl her name. She says she's Krita. He felt embarrassed in front of Grader as she was making the Great House very happy. But Grader said it was fine, just part of her duty. She also serves him food. After eating, I tell Krita I need to go to the hospital, and Grader replies that the hospital is quite. I built my own car. I even got help to bring you here. These folks keep chatting, and suddenly, Data recalls her past. In a flashback, we see Krita is withdrawn due to depression. She skips her meds and always feels like a ghost is following her. This thought haunts Data with every breeze. Even when on her phone, her mum scolded her because she saw all of Grader's. She had seen it, the one she had rented, right? But she had already assured Greytown that she was taking her medicine daily. Anyway, Singh returns to the present, and we see Krita surrounded by the same voices that used to torment her in the past. This time, it was clear to us that the wind was inciting her to kill Benny. Because of these voices, she picks up a knife from the kitchen and is about to kill Benny in his room when she suddenly comes to her senses. She got to her room, but it was still there. Leaving her shoes, she hurried inside, but the noise grew, not stopping. Etta was exhausted by the voices. She buried her face in her hands and screamed, trying to quiet them. But they wouldn't stop. By morning, Benny had gone out to find help. He hoped to find a clinic for treatment, or at least get a lift. As he walked, he continued quite a bit. He found no clinic or lift. Pausing by the trees, he spotted a car in the forest. Approaching, he realized it was indeed a car and informed Greta. Greta saw it too. We know it's Greta's car, but she pretended not to know, as if it was her first time seeing it. Now, he began to suspect her, thinking she was lying and the car was hers. Greta also sensed he was starting to doubt her. They rushed back home. I searched the house to clear my doubts and found the car keys in Greta's drawer. Greta, who had gone to the forest to quiet the voices in her head, saw Penny heading to the car again. Couldn't understand why Penny was going there. On returning home, she found her room in chaos, and the car keys she had kept were missing. Her anger grew, and something urged her to do something wrong. From the cupboard, she took out a baseball bat.
They start following behind. The Data had now caught up with Benny. Before Benny could drive away from there, she tells him to get away from the car. Benny doesn't understand her threat. Just as he is about to say something, Greta swings a baseball bat and hits him hard on the head, knocking him unconscious. She then drags Benny back into the house, laying a sheet on the kitchen floor. They sit Benny on a chair and tape him securely. When he regains consciousness, he is astonished that such a small girl could do this to him. He asks Greta, "Why are you doing this? What have I done to wrong you? You've become relentless. Let me go, and in return, you can ask for whatever you want, as much money as you need." At this time, there was a frenzy in Greta's mind. She wasn't listening to a word and, picking up a hammer, threatened him, saying, "Tell me your real name or I'll break your hand." He reveals his real name, saying it's David, and as soon as Greta hears the name David, the voices in her head grow even louder. These voices had driven Greta mad, and she succumbed to their influence. Suddenly, she struck David's hand with a hammer, injuring him severely. As Greta's mind gradually quietens from the persistent rumors, she regains her senses and realizes she had made a significant and grave mistake. She approaches David with great disdain and shows him a photograph that included Greta alongside her sister. David suddenly recalls that she was indeed the sister of the girl from the great house whom he had accidentally killed 8 years ago. Confronted with this undeniable truth, David becomes deeply distressed. He starts making excuses, insisting that the unfortunate accident wasn't entirely his fault. "She came in front of me and as soon as I got down to help her, she was already dead," but Greta says that's a complete lie. "When you saw her, she was alive, calling for your help, and you were too scared to help her, leaving her to die alone." Here, David tries to convince her, saying, "Believe me, I checked her, she was dying." Now, Greta tells him that you were intoxicated that day. You don't remember anything. And suddenly, those voices in Greta's head start again, telling her to kill David. She screams, blaming David for every misfortune in her life. And now she was about to smash his head with a hammer. Before she could kill David, she heard the sound of a truck approaching their house from outside. In fact, it was the owner of the house, and when he confronted her outside, he simply asked, "Who are you?" She innocently replied, "No, I was just passing by, had an accident, and had to stop here out of necessity." "You request the gentleman not to harbor any suspicions? Might you offer me a ride for a brief distance?" He does not respond to Greta's appeal and, observing the bloodstains on her attire, perceives that something is undoubtedly amiss indoors. Consequently, he swiftly maneuvers Greta aside and proceeds into the house. Before he can catch sight of David in the kitchen, she seizes a baseball bat resting on the floors and renders this elderly man unconscious with another forceful swing. There was an abundance of blood flowing. She had struck him with considerable force. When he regained consciousness once more, he experienced yet another dizzy spell. It's very wrong, they say. She tried to stop the bleeding, but now it was of no use. Greta had already damaged his brain, and due to the bleeding, he had died as well. She completely breaks down. She leaves him somewhere and goes into her room, looking at her sister's picture and starts crying. Meanwhile, David had been tied up in the kitchen for quite some time. With Greta not around, he got the chance to escape. He spots a knife lying on the kitchen floor, and to pick it up, he lets himself fall to the ground and tries to free his hands with the knife. After a long struggle, as soon as he manages to free one hand, he then frees his mouth, the other hand and his legs, and quickly grabs the car keys from the counter, attempting to escape. He wanted to start a car immediately and get away from there. But perhaps his luck was just bad because the car's engine wasn't working anymore. Meanwhile, Olivia also heard some noises. She quietly noticed that David wasn't there, so she headed towards the car to catch David as she knew he would try to escape with it. When David heard the sounds of someone running in the woods, he quickly got out of the car and hid. Greta was desperately searching for David to kill him, but David was hiding under a fallen tree trunk. Greta passed by him without suspecting a thing. At that moment, David was overwhelmed with memories of what he had done a few years ago. When he was driving under the influence, he accidentally hit Greta's sister who was on a bicycle. He did get out to help her, but saw that she was unconscious. Her pulse was still there, she was alive, but David didn't have the courage to help the girl. To avoid getting entangled with the police, he got back into his car and fled the scene. He still felt deeply ashamed of what he had done. He regretted his actions, but at that moment he didn't want to lose his life because of all these things. When he realized that Greta had moved away, he emerged from under the cover of the pain. David remembered that the owner of the house had arrived in a truck. He planned to take the truck and escape from there. As he approached the house and tried to find the champion, he saw the truck keys hanging above a knife. Suddenly, David found himself in a difficult situation, but he decided to muster the courage and take the car keys. However, as soon as he stood up, Greta quickly moved the keys aside and attempted to attack him with a knife. They both fell to the ground, with Greta trying to overpower David while David was trying to defend himself. In the midst of this struggle, David managed to gain full control over Greta. He was attempting to wrest the knife from her grasp, and Greta was vigorously thrusting the knife towards his abdomen. Amidst the struggle, the knife inadvertently pierced Greta's own abdomen, and she perished on the spot. David swiftly retrieved the vehicle keys and made his way towards the unfamiliar truck. He was on the verge of departing with the truck when he realized that Greta might yet be alive. He was determined not to replicate his earlier error. He was unwilling to abandon an innocent individual to perish, so he returned to assist Greta. Upon re-entering the house, he checked her pulse. Greta was indeed still alive. He laid Greta on a cloth and dragged her to the car. He wanted to get her to the hospital as quickly as possible. The journey had just begun when Greta regained consciousness. As soon as she was conscious, Greta pulled the knife out of her stomach and blood started pouring out. To stop it, David quickly stopped the car and tried to help stem Greta's bleeding, but it was of no use. Due to excessive blood loss, Greta also died there. The story reveals that she couldn't avenge her sister, the sound of which echoed in her ears from the joint age. The apparition was clearly visible to both him and his sister, and this same spectre was urging him to murder David. When Greta Much arrives, this ghost appears before the defeated David at the story's end, bringing the narrative to a close.